Thanks for joining in the Pivotal Podcast, where we talk about young adults with young adults. Well, welcome back to the Pivotal Podcast. I am here, as always, with my good friend, really a friend to all, Andrea Sawtell. So hi there, Pennsylvania.
Hello, Jerry. How are you?
I got a video this morning from another friend in Pennsylvania that you may know, and he said it's frost up there. Did you get frost?
Oh my gosh. Yes, we did get frost. It was cold this morning.
Yeah.
I had to put a jacket on.
It was chilly this morning here, but we're not in the frost stage yet. So welcome to the frost stage. And go ahead.
I'm going to Florida next week, so I'm at the frost.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect timing. Yeah.
Right.
Peace out, Pennsylvania, and your lousy frost.
That's right.
To Florida. And we have a very, very special guest with us today, the one and only Mr. Chase Van Syckle. And he's going to share with us just some of his take on young adult life. And just to give, I'm not going to steal any of Chase's thunder. Chase, you can say whatever you want to. But I've known Chase for many, many years. He came up through our student ministry, and now he's a full-on man. He's just a full man adult.
What did I say?
And I'm just so proud. So, Chase, would you just introduce yourself and tell the people, give the people what they want, Chase. Tell them about yourself.
Okay. What's up, y'all? I'm Chase. Chase Van Syckle, as Jerry said. I am 20. Oh Lord, how old am I? Am I 28? I'm 28 years old. That's crazy to think about. Like Jerry mentioned, I'm a young adult. I have been at Southside my entire life. I was born in the church, the local church here. So me and Jerry are best buds. We've been doing this thing since middle school when I met him. But I have a wonderful and beautiful wife of almost 5 years coming January 1st. So excited for that. We met together in the same youth group. So, I mean, not high school sweethearts, but it happened. So, stay in youth group, kids, because marriage can come out of it. You never know. And then we also have a wonderful and beautiful son of 8 months. His name is Ezra. And he has just been the joy for the past 8
snaps for Ezra
plus. Yeah. Snaps for Ezra. So cute. So we're just living life. We're in a new stage of life, right? So that's a bit of what we'll talk about myself as well. Anything else? Fun fact, I play bass at church on Sunday mornings. So that's been really fun. I've recently picked that up the past few months. I was always musical when growing up. I played saxophone for most of my life, and then there's not really an outlet to play saxophone when you get to my age, unless you stay into like a local band or whatnot. So I have tried to keep those musical things in tune and have started to learn bass guitar, which has been so fun. My wife plays piano. I'm hoping and praying that Ezra plays some type of instrument or sings or something when he grows up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Jeez. I have to ask, are you familiar with Parks and Rec, or Andrea, are you familiar with Parks and Rec, the TV show?
Yes, I haven't watched a ton of it, but yeah.
Okay. So you're talking about there's really nowhere to play saxophone at this stage in your life. I just imagine going into like this dimly lit sax like jazz nightclub, and you're up there in like a fedora and the Duke Silver was like Ron Swanson's like alter ego, and he played sax in nightclubs and nobody knew about it. It was just his own like little secret that he did. So someday,
that's awesome.
I'm gonna walk into a club and you're gonna be up there on your saxophone.
Maybe I just haven't told you about it yet, Jerry.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it's going to happen. I know what's going on.
Yeah. Jerry has already actually several years ago, he already hired me to play at his funeral one day. I'm gonna play sax. So
I did.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. But
so it's already in the books.
Only the chorus of Careless Whisper. That's
right.
all I want. And I want no shirt on, just a sport jacket.
Yeah.
I got all this out. My funeral.
That's impressive.
My funeral is not to be missed, y'all.
Right. Wow. It's going to be a celebration for sure.
It's gonna be awesome. All right, so Chase and Elena are just such sweet people. You can probably tell by Chase's like setup there that he does this a lot. He's online. He's a gamer. We're actually in the process right now of trying to imagine discipleship through gaming, and so he's kind of helping to pioneer that with me and another guy in our church. Really, I'm just kind of like I don't have anything to say. These two guys are the experts.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can tell he's got the sweet microphone. He's got the headset. Yeah, yeah.
Are you gaming right
Yeah.
now? Are you gaming right now?
No, but I might have
He's double
earlier
duty.
today.
I thought I heard clicking.
Yeah, it
Wondering.
was my day off, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
Chase, speaking of gaming, what is your go-to game? Like what's your top game right now that you like to play?
Mm, good question. In regards to video gaming, there's actually a game that comes out in 2 days on the 30th.
Okay.
I've played in some beta tests, so they opened
Ooh,
up the game early on for people to test it out, see how they can improve and stuff before launch. And it's called Arc Raiders. So I'm really
okay.
excited to dive back into that game. It's going to be
Okay.
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Sounds very biblical.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Giant robots and shooting other people. I mean, you can't do much better than there was killing in the Bible, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought maybe Noah's Ark, maybe Ark of the Covenant. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No.
Sounds very
Arc stands
spiritual.
for something, but it's
Maybe
yeah.
not something biblical.
There's no boats and
Right.
yeah, no
Let's
arc
see. A,
boats. Yeah.
assault.
That's probably close.
Right, right.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's
all
fun.
right. Well, thanks for giving us a little intro to Chase Van Sickle's life. Glad you're here, brother. Thank you for being our guest on the podcast. All right, we as you know, those of you who have been with us, we kind of prep our guests with just three questions, and we have no idea where the conversation's going, and we like it that way. And so the first question that we sent to Chase was, "Tell us about your faith journey and how you would describe your spiritual life today."
Cool. Like I mentioned earlier, I was born and raised in the church. I got a long history of Christians in the family. I accepted Christ as my savior at a pretty young age, like a lot of people's stories go in the church. And I was baptized when I was young. A fun fact: I got to be baptized with both of my little sisters, 2 years and 3 years younger than me. We all got to be baptized at the same time, so that was a really fun memory. And then you get to middle school and high school, and you're really involved in youth group, and you start taking your faith a little bit more seriously, and you go through those doubts of like, did I actually like accept Jesus as my savior when I was like 7 years old? Probably not, but but then you start encountering God, and He starts talking to you more and more, and then you're like, okay, this is a real thing. So I've been involved in youth group my whole life and leadership within the middle school and high school youth group, and I still am to this day. I have a heart for loving on younger people and just sharing life with them, and then being able to speak a little bit of joy and love and Bible into their lives periodically. So I really enjoy that. And then after I graduated from high school, where I was super involved at Southside, I went to VCU, which is a local college here, Virginia Commonwealth University, in the city, and everything plummeted in regards to my spiritual faith. At the time, Southside didn't really have a young adults program. They had a group, and me and some of my friends went to one of their like outreach events, but it just didn't feel like very inclusive or connected. Definitely felt like an outsider. So I was like, nah, not for me. So I went to school VCU for 2 years, freshman, sophomore year, and I had almost no spiritual community. And yeah, it was a pretty dark place in my life. But I lived at home. I still went to church on Sunday, so I was still in the church, but nothing like real for me. Anyways, 2 years into VCU, my grandma, my Mimi, everybody knows Mimi at my church. She's fantastic, but she came up to me and my wife Elena, who were dating at the time, and she was like, God told me that I need to come talk to you. We need to start something with young adults. There's an empty void, and it needs to be filled. So me and my Elena are like, yeah, that's not cut. You're talking to the wrong people, okay? Anyways, eventually we started a small group at my Mimi's house with a bunch of our young adult friends that we had graduated with that also didn't really have anywhere else to go, and it just went from there, and it was the best decision. Not that it was really our decision, God was kind of like knock, 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 like this is it, this is what's next. But it's been the best thing since, especially for obviously my own personal walk with Christ from the valley that I experienced in college to now where I am at, where I just have such a great family of people my age and people that are younger than me, that we just get to gather on a regular basis and just live life together and talk about Jesus. So yeah, it's been fantastic since. Absolutely.
Mm.
Awesome. I gotta ask a question. When
Sure.
Mimi came to ask you about like starting this, how old was she?
How old was Mimi?
Yeah.
That's a good question. She was probably, oh gosh, how old is Mimi now? Hold on. I would say,
Totally selling Mimi out. I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
bad,
yeah. I
but
think
I'm
in
curious.
her 60s.
Okay.
60s?
Yeah.
I would
Like
guess.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
I just want to recognize like that. I feel like that takes guts. I mean, I know you were related to her, but for somebody of the older generation to come forward and say, "Hey, like this is a void like that needs to be filled, and I want to do that with you." I just think
Hmm.
that's beautiful. So I
Yeah.
figured she wasn't like 40 or anything. So
Yeah, no, 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 no. But no, no, you're right. Like she saw that there needed to be a need, and then yeah,
yeah, it's
she went to,
awesome.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, super glad she did that.
Yeah. Mimi, her name is Polly Ann. She's just such a sweet lady in our church, and she's one of our, probably okay to say, one of our older folks in our church who just has such a heart for young people, and I love that. I just love her, but I love that about her, and that she's a representative of, I would say, a strong portion. Of our church family that is probably 60s, 70s, and you may not know it until you really get in there and talk to them, but they really do have a desire for young people. And I would like to believe that that's more true than not true in the average church. I
Hmm.
have yet to talk to any older person anywhere of any church who has like no desire for young people. Like there is, I think it's almost universal in the
Mhm.
church today that older folks want to know how to make space for younger folks. It doesn't always translate well, but I really do believe that that's true. And Mimi is a really good example of that.
Yeah, I'm curious, what did she do that like stuck for you? Like what was it that did you create something with her in that small group? Did she lead that? Like what did that look like?
So she literally all she did was she provided space for us at her house, and of course, like she would like make us food. She's always giving, even if she's not like up and like front leading. She's in the background making sure things are gonna happen. So no, she wasn't. She saw me and my wife now Elena as like the main leaders, and at the time when she did this, I was much farther away from Jesus than Elena was. She was at Liberty University for the year for 1 year, and she was keeping me on track, making sure I didn't fall off the deep end, if you will. So she was a bit more receptive to it than I was, and then we prayed about it. And we're like, let's just do it and see how it goes. And after that first time we got together, it was like 15 of us. I was like, there's something really, really good here. Something that has been missing in my life for the past 2 years.
Mhm.
So cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And now fast forward to today, we have probably like average of 30 or so young adults in our ministry every Tuesday night. We have a young adult retreat coming up in a few weekends, and it's just about sold out. So I'm so thankful for God speaking through Pollyann into Chase and Elena's life and just challenging them to step into where the need was. There was a complete void there. There was a complete vacuum, and our whole church was really feeling that. Probably like a lot of churches in America that don't have a young adult community. Kids graduate high school, and then what? And then there's nothing, and they kind of, and many of them will just kind of like vanish because there's
Mhm.
nothing for them to, no community for them to step into. So I feel like I'm biased, of course, but I feel like our young adult community is just thriving. I love it. I
Yeah.
love what God is doing here, and it started by somebody willing to take a chance. So
Yeah.
to all the
Well,
young adults, yeah, go ahead,
I
Andrea.
was I was gonna say just as like as simple as opening up your home. I mean,
Yeah.
I think sometimes we think that we have to do all this stuff and get all this stuff lined up. And like to an older person, I feel like and I'm putting myself in the older person category. You know, I think people think they got to have everything lined up and like have this perfect program and this, but to say like, no, like I'm going to open up my house. How many people have the power to open up a space, like
Mhm.
where people can gather? And I just think that's like I think sometimes we're waiting for everything to like line up right or to have the perfect stuff to like kick off something for our young adults when in actuality like it literally was a space
Yeah.
that you're opening up going, hey, I'll open it up, you just come and bring your friends and like do your thing. And that should encourage the church that like you don't even have to have a big church building or any of that. Sometimes it's just like the gift of hospitality and the openness to like, hey, come where we are, like like we'll give you what we have. I just think that's so cool. I think that's
Hmm.
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next question, Chase. Tell us something that you see as a common issue facing young adults.
So I was really like going back and forth about this question because in our young adult community, it's not common. However, in the young adult community, I guess you could say worldwide or church, big capital C church wide, I would argue is that the biggest issue that I'm facing is parenthood.
Mhm.
That is the biggest change of life thus far. And again, like I said, not there's no other parents in our community group right now, but we are still, I guess, deemed as young adults. And what does that transition look like
Yeah.
to young families? How does that like our connectedness with the young adults that are single and 30 and single and in college? So your life change. You too, obviously. Andrea, you have children, right?
I do.
Okay,
Yes.
so we all understand. I can now say that we all understand what having a child is like, and it changes your entire world. I would argue that living up into this point before you have kids, you are fighting that selfish desire that our evil selves have, and it just kind of is what it is. But when you have to take care of a child now, like they are priority number one in your life. You do everything revolves around them now, and that includes your hanging out with your friends or going to community group, what that looks like. So the biggest and the question is biggest common issue facing young adults would be just the change from being a single young adult to even married young adult slash having kids.
Hmm. I would I want to really respect and applaud Chase and Elena for um, trying to make things work because it is, you're right, it's the biggest shift in the adult life is to have a kid. But there have been weeks for community group where one of them came and then the other one kind of like stayed with Ezra. Both of them came and they just got Ezra taken care of. Somebody, grandparents probably taking care of Ezra, and then they've also brought Ezra with them. And I love all of that. And whatever, and so that rather than just saying, all right, we have a kid now, so peace out, everybody, or it's too difficult or whatever. I just love how they're, as a couple, they're really wrestling through that in order to keep in community.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious what like because I see that in our young adult group, like you go through phases of life and it happens all at different times. It's not like you're 25, you get married and have a kid. Like it's
Right.
happening at all different phases. And I
Hmm.
see in our young adult group when those things happen, like they get married or they have their first child, almost like they're not sure where they fit in with the group. And our group ranges from like 18 to 30 plus.
Hmm.
It's not an age bracket thing, but like what for you and your wife like made you want to stay within that young adult group, like stay invested in it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. Um, the young adult group, even though most of them are all younger than us, and like I said, none of them are in our stage of life, they're all our closest friends. So just the relationships that we've built over the several years that we've had community group and hanging out with these young adults, on a day-to-day basis, that is what's kept us like, okay, well, like these are our people. These are the people that we're most intimate with, that we can open up with, that we feel most comfortable. And that's what you look in any small group, life group, community group, is people that you're just willing to be, raw and emotional with. And those are our people versus seeking another set of people that we don't know as well or don't know at all. And because all of them are so accepting, like Jerry said, like it's cool even if Ezra comes to small group with all of us, like no one's like, oh, why is there a kid here? And he might be a distraction to a lot of us, especially me and Elena, when he's fussing and we gotta take care of him. But just that, you have those bonds already built,
Mhm.
and we're not ready to leave that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're also Chase and Lane are also navigating just like being in a young parents group as
Mm-hmm.
well. So just trying to, have lots of different tentacles in community, and how is God not just how where can we go to get what we want, but their mentality is where can we go to give to other people as well. I've always I mean for years I've just picked that vibe up from Chase and Elena, and I just appreciate it so much because there are a lot of I don't want to say a lot, but there are plenty of consumers and those with consumer mentality, like what what can the church do for me, um,
Right.
rather than what do I have to offer? What do I have to have? Kind of got back to Mimi. She wasn't in a place to like lead a Bible study, but she has a living room and she can open the front door and she can let people in. So, what do I have that I can offer to other people? And I've seen that a lot in Chase and Elena's life, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just so very encouraging and refreshing.
Yeah.
Where do you feel like that came from? Like, did that come out of experiences you had? Was it modeled for you like as a young adult? Because I think you said like once you have a kid, like some of that selfishness like reroutes itself because it's not about you anymore.
Right.
And that kid is there all the time. So where do you think for you, like what helped shift that mentality of, this group isn't only about me, but this is something that I also want to give back to?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think it's really me and Elena, like I mentioned earlier, since middle school and being in youth group, we've always just been so involved. Like when we say like Southside is our local church, like it's tattooed across our chest, like not literally, but like it is our church. We are invested. We, through thick and thin, like that is where we want to put all of our efforts into, and it's the most important thing to both of us. So with I always like to explain it because we're kind of like in three small groups. We have our Wednesday night high school small groups that we both lead. Those are both things that we're pouring out into, and Ezra comes with us for those. And then on Tuesday nights we have our young adult community group where we still feel like we're getting spiritually fed, but also we're giving and we're part of leadership there as well. So it's still beneficial both ways. And then, like Jerry said, we recently have found another young adult, not young adult, young family small group that meets bi-weekly, and that's just being spiritually fed. So they all have their respective purposes. And they're
Mhm.
all good, right? They're all good. If something didn't feel good or wasn't healthy or was more distracting than anything, like we would get out of Dodge. Um, but it's not. God shows up and all of our small groups that we're a part of. And again, I think it's just the DNA of us doing this. We're both yes men's. We both don't know how to say no. And part of it's not like, oh man, we want to say no, but it's like we want to be a part of all this. We love all of it. We love being involved and having the friendships and connections that we have. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just
That's
a
great.
little practical point that I think I'd like to point out, because of this podcast, hopefully it reaches not just young adults, so that's kind of the audience, but also leaders who are leading young adult ministries, whatever. And just a very, very small thing that we have done that really kind of came organically from the young adults themselves. In the past month and a half, we split our young adult group into two groups based on age. From 18 to 21 is one group, and then 22 and over is the other group. And that the feedback that or the conversation that arose was they really are dealing with different things. I mean, parenting is its own thing, as we've
Mhm.
talked about, but a 27-year-old is not necessarily dealing with the same things as a 19-year-old. And so we decided to make that switch. So we still have kind of like common everybody all together for a portion of the evening, but then for the majority of it, they're in those two different groups having discussion. And I think it's really been we kind of beta tested it, so to speak, for a month. And it was really well received. I think unanimously that this is the way to go. So,
yeah.
if that's a helpful thing for other leaders out there, it's not certainly not rocket science or a big secret, but it really has worked well for us. All
Yeah.
right. Last question for you, Chase. In what ways do you feel the way the church views or handles young adults should change?
Mm.
Or is there anything that needs to be done differently?
This was another one that I kind of struggled with. I think our local church does a really good job. Um, but what can always be better, and I think what a lot of other churches might resonate with is just like having young adults, like allowing them to be more involved. Not that they like, okay, if they're not wanting to be involved, that's one thing,
Yeah.
but like listening to their ideas, opinions, and actually like making change based off, because we have great ideas, I think, and I think a lot of us agree that a living and a growing and a alive church has young people in it, right? And if it's
Hmm.
all older
Yep.
people, then Jerry likes to say it's just a waiting room at
Yeah.
that point, right? There's not going to be any growth, development, no discipleship for younger people. Um, so with that being said, change is inevitable, and the world is changing all the time, and with that being, if you want other people that are young that want to be, I know it sounds bad, but like attracted to what the church may have to offer on a superficial level, but then get there and be like, okay, this is like way deeper than I
Mhm.
thought it was. Like you have to make those necessary changes. And young adults and young people and students have great ideas. So just like empowering them
Yeah.
essentially. And again, I mentioned like I feel like our church does a great job. We have some young adults that are on staff, young adults within our young adult leadership team that, yeah, have have made large strides over the past couple of years that have brought our church to where it is now,
Mhm.
that have made it more appealing and more receptive to younger people.
Hmm. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's good. I'm going to be sharing with our board tonight, and I don't normally go to board meetings, but been asked to come to this one to talk about ministry to young people and what are some of the things we need to be aware of and some of the things that we need to change. So my penchant for alliteration. And so I'm a
Oh yeah.
sucker for a good alliteration. So one of the things I'm looking at over here, one of the three things that I'm going to share with the leadership of our church is when it comes to younger individuals and young families, include them, which is what you're talking about, Chase. Invest in them, and I think
Mm,
churches need to I don't know, not to be like crass or anything, but I think you've got to put your money where your mouth is. How much of your overall church budget is going toward reaching and connecting with young people and young families? And then the last one is invite them to lead. And I'm proud that our church board has had and has young adults serving on the church board. I'm proud that when you come on Sunday morning, there's a lot of young faces that are leading the worship up front. I'm proud of all those things. So, but I know even at Southside, we certainly could be stronger, and there's more that we can do. And I appreciate that input, Chase. And I think it's going to be, I would call it a challenging encouragement to a lot of leaders and a lot of young adults. Because I think for the most part, Andrea, I would love to hear your take on this, but I think for the most part, a lot of church leadership is probably gets kind of like stuck in a certain spot where like, yeah, we agree,
Mhm.
but now what? We don't really know how to put legs to that. So,
Mhm.
Andrea, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. I think people want it, they don't always know how to get it.
Yeah.
Um, I would say at our church, what you just described with your church is very similar to our church, that like we've handed over the keys to the younger generation. So we always say I forget what the phrase is, but we lean young, so when you walk into like a Sunday morning experience, you see all different generations, but we definitely like the younger generation kind of drives the feel in those spaces. We also super intentional to have young people hired on staff. So it's a mix of younger and older. I think the board, getting younger people on the board and some of that stuff, like at our church, they've wanted younger people to be on the board, but younger people don't always want to be on the board.
Mhm.
Probably because it's not that exciting all the time. But I think wanting the investment to say like your voice matters in that. I do think like I'm saying as a whole, like Big C Church as a whole, could do a better job, like just sitting down and listening to young adults. And even as a leader, I think it's easy to think like this is something that young adults are going to want because statistically it says they're going to want it, or because I hang out with young adults, but like I think like really listening and asking questions to our young adults, if we spent more time doing that, I think that could make a big difference. So that we weren't just making assumptions. Sometimes I think, and especially like in 2025, I think sometimes people think certain things are what young adults want when they're really actually not.
Yeah.
So, and I think we'd be surprised. I think the church would be surprised if they sat down and really listened to the young adults' hearts, that it's probably not just really cool worship music that they're searching for. Like going back to the beginning of this conversation with Mimi, it was Mimi, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Like you needed a space where you could like be yourselves and feel seen and known in that, and like just be able to show up, like so some of the things that I think sometimes I think it just comes down to like we need to do a better job listening. But in order to listen, you have to get around them and you have to ask questions.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Right.
that would be that's a lot of opinion on a lot of things at once,
Yeah,
but
that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's good. What we want most for this little podcast project is that it would be an encouragement, but that it'll also be helpful to young adults and to young adult leaders. There's going to be lots of young adults that watch this episode and really connect with Chase's story, and there's going to be things that they hear Chase said, and that's really going to kind of prick some new thoughts in their minds and maybe challenge them. And maybe even what I love about Chase and Lena is like, why not me? Like God, because Mimi comes to you and you're like, no, that's not our thing. But look what God did when you were willing to just kind of like take a step. Not only do you not have all the answers, you don't even know what the questions are. You don't even have any answers, but you're willing to take a step of obedience and say, well, let's just see. I wonder what God might do in this situation. And now we are several years past that, and we already have a really beautiful legacy of connection and ministering to young people. So, yeah, if there's any young adult that watches this episode and you're just kind of sitting there waiting for your sign or something, here it is. This is your sign that you
Right.
need to take a step of faithful obedience and just see what God does with it. Because I think Chase and Elena's story is that story, and it's just so beautiful. Yeah,
so
it's great. And also, I'll throw in um, Chase's incredibly beautiful wife, Elena. No joke. She was in our youth group, and I've said this before. I don't think I even knew what her voice sounded like until her senior year. Like
Right.
she was that kind of person, like just
Mhm.
never said anything, complete wallflower, painfully shy. And now God is using her to influence other people and uses her to lead Bible studies and pour into high school girls. And oh my gosh, it's just so
Yeah.
beautiful. So I think a lot of times we also decide for God what we can do, and how he's able to use us. And we short circuit growth that he wants to make happen in your life because you're like, no, I could never. But anyway, I love Chase and Elena dearly, and I love your story. Thank you, Chase, for being our guest on this
Thank you
podcast.
so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
we've had
you.
a really great conversation. And Andrea, thank you. And we're excited for what God is doing up there in PA,
In PA.
and how he's shaping young people through your ministry as well. All right. Any closing thoughts, you guys, before we wrap this thing up? My lead pastor would say, all hearts clear.
All hearts clear.
All right. Thank you guys for being a part of the podcast. Thanks everybody for watching. Leave a comment if you want to. Good, bad, we don't care. Just give us a rating. And definitely, if you feel like this episode would be an encouragement to somebody else, send it along to them.
Share it.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining in the Pivotal Podcast, where we talk about young adults with young adults.